Hello everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to create a DMARC record for the onmicrosoft.com domain. This onmicrosoft.com domain is the tenant name, it's the tenant domain. Sometimes it's called also the Moera domain. Moera stands for Microsoft Online Email Routing Address. That's the default domain that you choose when you create a new tenant. That's the domain that you cannot change afterwards. This is the domain. It's the onmicrosoft.com domain that you can see here on the screen. Because this is just my lab tenant. So I don't have any custom domain here, which means that all users are created on this Moera domain. So it's m365x something.onmicrosoft.com. Usually it's the name of the organization.onmicrosoft.com, but like I said, you choose the name when you are creating the tenant. It can be literally anything, but it has to be globally unique because it's a name of the tenant. Technically, you probably don't use the onmicrosoft.com domain for any service. But by default, all users that you create get this domain as an alias on their account. So technically, users can use the domain for sending and also receiving emails. And also, potential threat actors can abuse the domain to impersonate your organization potentially. Because this tenant domain, it's very easy to find that domain. Because like I said, it's the tenant domain. If you open OneDrive for Business or SharePoint Online, you see the domain there. So it's very easy for a threat actor to look up the domain or find out what is the Moera domain of your tenant, and then they can potentially impersonate the domain if the domain is not protected. You probably already have email authentication configured for your custom domains. So you probably already have SPF, DKIM and DMARC created for your custom domains that you use for your emails. But most organizations are not aware of the fact that you can actually create a DMARC record also for the Moera domain. But it's quite important because I have seen scenarios where a threat actor impersonated the onmicrosoft.com domain. The way how you can configure the DMARC record for the Moera domain is from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com. If you go to Settings, Domains, here you see all domains that you have configured for your tenant. Because this is just my lab tenant, I don't have any custom domain configured here. I have only the tenant domain here, the Moera domain here. So I open the Moera. You can do the same in your tenant as well, because one of the domains that you see here would be the onmicrosoft.com domain. So open the domain and go to DNS records. And here, as you can see, you can add a new record. And that's not very known fact that you can create a custom domain record for the onmicrosoft.com domain. You can create only one record type, which is the TXT record, but that's enough for us because DMARC is the type of TXT record. So we can click this Add Record button. You see that type TXT is already pre-configured. When I open the drop-down menu, you see that there is only one type that we can actually configure, which is the TXT record. And here we need to set the TXT name and TXT value. The TXT name for DMARC is always the same. So it's the underscore DMARC. So we paste it to, or type it to the TXT name. Then the TXT value is the actual DMARC record. So the policy, the version, the percentage, reporting addresses, and so on. Here it mostly depends up to you, up to your standard DMARC records that you use. I would definitely recommend you to use the same DMARC record as you use for your production domains. But you can configure pretty much anything here, but it needs to be at least this. So the version, it's mandatory, needs to be DMARC 1. P configures the policy. P reject means that if someone is impersonating the domain, the recipient mail servers should reject the message completely. You can change it to quarantine, for instance, but the reject is the safest option here. PCT stands for percentage. So it's the amount of emails that this policy will be applied to. For production environments or production setup, it always should be 100 because it's 100%, which means it's applied to all emails. If you just want to test it, you can set a lower value, but for production use, it should be always 100. Then, like I said, you can configure also additional tags for the DMARC record, such as the RUA or RUF for reporting. You can set different policies for subdomains, but that's not the case for this on Microsoft.com domain because there are no subdomains. There are other tags that you can use, but this is the minimum that you should have configured. The rest is mostly up to you, up to your decision, up to your standards for your organization. So that's it. You can click Save. And we see that the DMARC record is created for the onmicrosoft.com domain. With this, you effectively protect the onmicrosoft.com domain from impersonation because you have set the DMARC record and now only your tenant is allowed actually to send messages from this domain. That's all from my side. I hope you like it. If you like it, please click the heart button. If you have any questions, please let me know. Contact me directly or leave me a comment. If you like the video, share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends who also manage some Microsoft 365 tenants, because I think it's pretty important and it's not very well known. So it's a very good idea to tell also other people to configure the DMARC record for the Moira domain. Don't forget to follow my personal LinkedIn profile and Twitter profile, where I regularly publish tips and tricks and news. Also, don't forget to follow my Cybersecurity World blog. And don't forget that I publish a weekly newsletter that's released every weekend in the form of a podcast. You can tune me in on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. And that's really all from my side for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.